Greetings, everyone. Today is June 3rd, 2026. I am your host, Stark, and this is the Evan Studios Weekly Podcast, Season 3, Episode 2. I botched the intro a little bit there because I'm trying new stuff, and hopefully very soon I will be able to figure out how you can fade out other songs before you play the intro. But it feels like you need to be playing the song through the program where you cast. So yeah, maybe next time we're gonna have like a cool transitions. Let's pretend that the transition was fine and this happened perfectly and whatnot, you know. Today we are going to be talking mostly about Bloodlust. The Fleeting Iris remake is something that is currently on hold. Like I have been explaining, it's never the priority. Usually we are either prioritizing Journey Abroad or we are prioritizing Bloodlust. And right now we're trying to do the finishing touches to release a Journey Abroad patch, but there's some stuff missing. We were trying to add a bunch of menus to the game, but we weren't able to do the back end of them, which really sucks, because you can spend many hours working on the front end of menus, and at the end of the day, if the back end is not done, you just can't add them to the game, and that sucks. I showcased, I previewed a few of those menus last week. We were kind of hoping that we could have it on Journey Abroad right now, but it is what it is. We are going to try and release whatever we have this Friday, and then we have to set it down and focus on Bloodlust. Last month was really shitty. I still haven't got my computer screen back. My desktop still looks like shit because I haven't tried to fix it, because I still have high hopes that I'm gonna get my screen back and I don't have to change all the settings, which will be devastating. But still waiting. It's gonna be 3 weeks. I've been waiting for the monitor to be fixed tomorrow, but it is what it is. And indeed, there was the problem with my health. Let me try and lower the volume here a little bit, just to kind of like not go over the red, because I don't understand. Jesus, I don't. Okay, I don't understand a lot about podcasting and whatnot, but I heard that if your stuff goes, actually, you know what? Let me try and fix it over here. Let me try and eliminate over here, because I've heard that if your stuff goes on the red, and I don't know. I know very little about podcasting and whatnot, but I heard that if your stuff goes over the red, you are too loud. I tried to fix the audio, like the songs that we're playing. I tried to fix it right at the start. You guys are probably going to notice some oscillation over there, and I've tried to improve the. I'm always trying to improve the podcast on all the little things. It's just what I do on everything that I work on. You might be, for people that have been following us on Footing Aries, they know how I keep going back and changing stuff that a lot of people will argue that they didn't need any changing. But I don't know. I got obsessed once someone told me that once you go on the red in terms of volume, once you go on the red, usually it's a bad sign. It means you are too loud. So if you guys in the chat can tell me if I'm speaking too loud or too low, or that will be great. Probably moving the microphone a little bit away from me will help. Let's hope it does. Yeah, that's pretty much it regarding Journey Abroad and Fleeting Iris. Sadly, last month we weren't able to do a lot of work in Journey Abroad. This disease is the disease that keeps on giving bad news. Apparently, I was coughing so hard that now I can barely move right now. I thought I fucked up something like ribs or something like that. So I had a call today with the doctor. I called him, and she said I probably just did like a muscle spasm from coughing so violently. That I probably did like a muscular spasm on the right side, and that's why I've been kind of like paralyzed for the last 5 days. And she said usually that goes away by itself if you like sleep properly and you relax the area and whatnot. But she prescribed me some magnesium, which you can get over the counter, but it gets cheaper if you get a prescription. And she says most people have magnesium deficiencies. And yeah, she's like, listen, you're gonna try and fix your stuff with this, and if you can't, we're probably gonna have to give you like an injection with a muscle relaxer, which will probably fix you right away. They inject you on the area, and it instantly your muscle your muscle relaxes. So I was like, can we use that? Can we use that as the default? Can we jump right to that? Because I'm always like, listen, just give me the best stuff you have. Even if it's an injection, I don't care. Because even when I was a kid, I was like 14, and the doctor was like, so I have 2 solutions here for you. I had like really bad amygdalitis. The doctor told me, I have 2 solutions for you. Right here, I have antibiotics. Now, antibiotics, you're going to have to take them for like a week, and you will be like 100% in like 2 weeks. In like 2 weeks, you're going to be fine. You're going to be noticing some serious improvements in like 2 days, but you're going to be feeling like solid improvements in like a week, and you will be fine in 2 weeks. Or this is penicillin. You never took this. We don't know if you're allergic. We are going to assume you're not. But this is penicillin. And it's an injection. And if you let me stab your ass with this right here and put some of this penicillin in you, you will be fine tomorrow. And I was like, listen, bruh, like, I'm not afraid of... Okay, but I need to warn you, penicillin is quite painful. I'm like, you know what's quite painful? The last 2 weeks of serious amygdalitis, where I can't eat, I can't breathe, I can't do nothing. I think I'm gonna go with option penicillin. And first of all, it didn't hurt as much as I thought it would, so that's kind of nice. But she lied. I wasn't good next day. I was good like 20 minutes later. Penicillin is so powerful that 20 minutes later, I haven't been able to eat properly for like two weeks. My appetite came back like almost instantly. The throat pain went away almost instantly. So if ever someone tells you we can do either this or penicillin, choose penicillin every time. Every time I'm gonna choose penicillin. And that's why I was like, listen, you can either give me magnesium and have my body like recover on itself. Can I pick the option where you inject me with stuff and I turn good right away? But you know, this was the penicillin thing was like 25 years ago, and the injection way they were like, listen, that's not quite an urgency, and the public services are kind of, you know, in fallacy right now, so we don't want to send you to the hospital to get an injection if it's not urgent, you know. So if you can avoid it, like if you can try and fix yourself at home, we will appreciate it. So yeah, I'm so happy I pay taxes. Anyway, with all the bad shit out of the way, let's focus on the good shit. Let's focus on Bloodlust, which we have been working really hard on. I'm super excited for Bloodlust. I'm super excited to show the news with you guys. And I want to start the day with something that in my mind is probably something that's going to take like 20 minutes, which means in reality it's probably going to take close to an hour. So let's focus on that right away, which is, for those who don't know, we sorry. So for those who don't know, we ran a poll on Discord last week, and there's good news and bad news. The good news is that we collected a bunch of results, and I'm going to share it with you guys right now, and hopefully we can discuss those results and whatnot. The bad news is that it only recorded the first 25, which means everything past that I don't have access unless I pay $30 or whatever. So we're gonna have to find a better quiz thingy. And today we are just going to focus on this garbage, the ones that we have direct access to. So yeah, there's that. Let me try and open Paint over here so I can start copying stuff to the screen, and then we can discuss, and you guys can tell me if the results are more or less what you were expecting and whatnot. So this is going to be this was the first question, and the first question that we asked everybody, and obviously we're going to be discussing this extensively and probably decide what changes are we going to make to Bloodlust, and kind of like also discuss with people why we made some of the changes or some of the choices that we did. And the first question was this: can I center this? Order, transform, center to screen. There we go. Cool. So this was the first question. The first question that we asked was, after playing the Bloodlust demo, which main character is your favorite? Also, there's a couple things that I wanted to discuss. If you guys like the songs that we're playing at the start of the stream, they are the songs that we'll be having on our future games. There's some of the songs we're going to be having on our future games. The other thing that I wanted to say is, someone asked, what about a Journey Abroad poll? And we are going to let Journey Abroad advance just a little bit further, where you actually get to meet a few more characters, and you have the entire cast kind of like presented to you, and then we can go from there. But both our demos, I would say that there's like two stages where we want to release the demos. This will be like the initial demo is kind of like a proof of concept, and we are really happy with what we were able to deliver. But we feel like they need a little bit more substance before we can actually release them and advertise them as like true demos, to a point where people can actually look at our games and get a proper preview of what to expect futurely from our games. That's kind of why we haven't started advertising the game a lot. It's because we want Bloodlust to get a little bit more action. The next patch will have some more exciting scenes than the previous one. We had like a strip and the nickel flip and whatnot. The next patch is going to have some more interaction, so I feel like it's going to reflect the future of the game a lot better than the previous patch did. Still, for everyone that was waiting for Bloodlust, I'm sure that people in general enjoyed. I got a lot of positive feedback from everyone that played it, and I hope the improvements in quality really show people how much work and how much passion we have been putting into this project. But obviously, the next one, since it's going to be having a lot more action and actually interactions, it's going to be. I mean, it's an entire game. It's going to need the entire to be a full experience. So we are going to need to work on a really good patch this month and release it at the end of June 30, and hopefully we'll be able to put all of the content that we have been planning to put in the game. Obviously, we won't be able to put all of the content. I'd love to put the menus in there right away, because I personally think that the menus will add a lot to the game. And we're also going to be focusing in letting the player do most of the playing, because right now it feels like a little bit railroaded. It kind of feels like a kinetic novel. So we're putting the player on rails because it's a demo. We don't want the player to get lost or do any of that stuff. But we will make sure that the player gets to interact with the game and actually play the game a lot earlier. Because even on AAA games, it's really frustrating where the first few minutes that you play, you aren't actually playing. You're kind of seeing, like, reading a story. I remember every time I used to play the OG Final Fantasy VII, I will get frustrated with the whole I read video, the whole full motion video that lasted like 2 minutes before I got to interact with the whole train stuff. And even on Persona 5, there's like a lot of dialogue and a whole lot of this is what happened backstory before you actually get to take control of the character, see the menus, save, walk around. So we're going to be fixing that on Bloodlust. I feel like the player already has some agency in Journey Abroad, in the state that the game is, but we're going to be trying to improve on that as well. And there's also a lot of dialogues that we feel like we can do a lot of improvement, especially on Bloodlust, and you guys will be seeing that in the next patch. So there's a lot to improve there, and we're always trying to improve and replaying the game, seeing what we can do better, and we're always waiting for you guys to give us feedback so that we can do better and create better games. And your feedback is really important, and that's part of why we created this poll. So this is I'm really happy that this happened, because this is a reminder to put my cell phone on silence. This was my cell phone, by the way. You guys don't need to look, because I know when I'm on YouTube videos and certain for whatever reason someone has the Discord ping on the YouTube video, and I go check my Discord and it's like, what the fuck is happening? And it's on the video. Yeah, I know it's frustrating. Just letting you guys know that was my cell phone. You're all fine. So the first question was, after playing the Bloodlust demo, which main character is your favorite? And Eve won, I would say 4-1. That's the ratio. Obviously, like I explained, we only have 25 answers. I'm sure there's more of it, but that's the reason why I removed the link out of Discord, because I didn't know they will limit our accesses to 25 answers. And it's really frustrating, but we need to find a website that doesn't do that. So obviously, a lot of people appreciate Evelyn more. Not, I'm sure in a huge part it's her design, and a lot of people also don't appreciate Jazz's character as of right now. And I'm gonna try and elaborate why Jazz is the way she is, because a lot of people seem to be kind of like unhappy with the way Jazz is. A lot of people don't like her personality. They feel like she's kind of stuck up and whatnot. So it kind of is what it is. This one I'm probably going to need to. Yep. This one is going to be a big one. I don't know if this one is going to fit the. I don't know if this is going to fit the screen, but I'm still going to try. Let me go here on. Let me go here on Paint. And well, obviously there's not a lot to discuss on this one. People appreciate. People in general appreciate Eve more than they appreciate Jazz, which is, you know, I was kind of expecting this. Eve really has been one of the fan favorites ever since she was teased on Fleeting Iris. She was one of the fan favorites in the Christmas patch, and I think she's top 3 with. It's basically Ayame, and people didn't get to know the other characters that well. There were a lot of people that liked the character from the zombie game, the actual fourth game, but she only appeared briefly during the Halloween minigame. So as far as I know, the preferences, the top 3 is something like Ayame, Adriana, and Evelyn are probably the top 3 characters that we get the most requests from our entire cast. Maybe that's going to change in the future, but we'll see as Jazz becomes more feminine and whatnot. So this question is kind of answered. People appreciate Eve more. We did know that Eve was going to get a lot of followers, and that she will be getting most of the focus in Bloodlust. So there we go, center the screen. This was our question, and this is mostly how much did you enjoy Eve's design and personality? We kind of put both on the same answer. Maybe we should have. I just wanted to make the poll not be too big, but we put design and personality. Design being mostly, you know, her appearance, and her personality, you know, speaks for itself. The lowest answer was a 5, and it was only 1 vote. The vast majority of people answered 8, with 10 being a close one. So most of the votes were 8 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10, which makes me really happy. There was a 5. I'm fine with that. Like, remember that this is both design and personality. Some people really like their design but dislike their personality. Some people feel like her breasts are just fine, and there's people that feel like their breasts are too big. I feel like I already explained why Eve's breasts are the size they are. I've explained quite a few times that we try to make different characters for different tastes, and everywhere from butt size, height, breast size, eye color, hair color, the hair design, whatever. So that's why we designed Eve the way it is. I'm not going to be going further on that. I feel like I have explained this extensively many times. But I'm really happy with the results. I feel like having 10 votes out of 25 landing on an 8, and having 9 votes out of 25 landing on a 10 is really strong. I feel like Eve is a character that a lot of people appreciate, and I'm really happy with the results for Eve. Further down the road, we are going to be discussing people's opinions, because people actually wrote what they like or dislike about the characters and the game. So there will be some more direct criticism, which will help identify what people liked or disliked about the game, which is going to be really cool. and then I can explain what I agree with, what I don't agree with, and what was just a design choice or a trade-off or whatever it was. Um, so yeah, if in general, I feel like the reception was really good. So I'm really happy with the results here. The other question obviously was what did people feel about Jasmine's design and personality. And although the results were somewhat positive, I will say that they are not as positive. And I was surprised that a lot of it was, and you will be able to see later, a lot of it was people just don't generally appreciate Jasmine's personality, which I will be discussing why she has the personality she has later. And let me go center this. So as you can see, the results are not as positive, and they're not as overwhelming as the previous results were. We have actually 3 4s. So some people really dislike. They don't hate the character, but they really dislike something about her, either the design or her personality. We got a couple 6s, and then the majority of the majority of the votes landed between 7 and 10, with the maximum amount of votes actually landing on a 10, about 1 out of 5, considering that it's 25 20, considering that it's 25 votes. We have a 6 there. If the 6 was on the answer 7 or on the point 7, we will have 80% landing between 7 and 10, exactly. Like 7 will get 5 votes, 8 will get 5 votes, answer 9 will get 5 votes. So I'm happy that the majority of the characters got a 10, and the majority of the people voted 10, and there's actually a decent amount of people that really like Jazz. And there's going to there is some criticism to her personality, and there is some criticism to her design, which we are going to be deciding later. But overall, I would say that I'm still happy with the results. There are some people that really, I won't say that they dislike, but 3 points on a 4 are kind of like, there's something that I don't like about the character. It's not like they look at the character and it's like a deal breaker for them, especially since a considerable amount of people really like Eve. This is not a deal breaker, but we really want people to be more interested in Jazz, and we definitely feel like as the game progresses, we will be able to deliver that, both in design and personality. So that's something that we plan to fix later down the road. And we are going to be answering some of those answers right now. One of the answers, it was me. I knew I was kind of like betting with a friend what I thought was the answer that people will be giving the most. So give me a second. This was the 4th question, which is what could we directly change that people thought would actually improve the character, something along those lines. Here we go. The exact question was, if you could improve them, the characters, obviously, on context, what would you change? So let's go through these and kind of like figure out what's going on. So someone said, with Eve, I guess just I know more about her story and vulnerable side. And Jasmine probably needs a more likable personality all around. Okay, so let's focus on these for now. People don't know more about Eve's story because you are supposed to decide her story as you go through the game. Your decisions, and I explained this extensively last week, but the decisions that you make in game are going to directly affect the past and affect the present. So depending on there's going to be a cause and effect. Depending on what you did in the past, there's going to be a direct effect from that in the present. And so you will kind of be the one deciding Eve's story. Now, Eve is incredibly professional, and one of the reasons why people say that the characters are a little bit too strict, and there's they are kind of stuck up, in so to speak. People need to remember that they're agents, and while we can and often bend um, realism over to be able to deliver good hentai, we also want to stay in context. We want to create strong characters that kind of reflect what they do. We don't want the typical I caught you smoking. If you don't have sex with me, I'm going to report you to the principal type of hentai. I feel like Eve's story is going to become much stronger as the game develops. And more importantly, the player gets to decide Eve's story. As for Jasmine, Jasmine is not likable because Jasmine is pretending to be a student. And during this time, Jasmine has been arrested by some drug dealer kid. She hates playing a student. She actually hates her job because she didn't want to be an agent. If you follow her backstory, you realize that she's only an agent because of her father. And then you also realize that Jasmine is flawed. The first time where she met Chris, she's kind of sad because Jazz is developing feelings for Alicia. She was very infatuated by her. She was impressed by her generosity, and she finds Alicia to be very beautiful. And she was kind of blindsided when Chris showed up because, not that it might have been relevant, but Alicia never had mentioned she had a boyfriend. And when Jazz saw Chris, she realized that Alicia had a boyfriend, that maybe she was reading too much into what they had, because Jazz really thought they had something going on, which they might or might not. We will be able to see in the future. But Jasmine felt blindsided, and despite being an agent most of the time, by playing a student, Jasmine has some sort of like... It's kind of like when an actor tries to do method acting. Even though it's really early into the mission, it's only been a few years since Jazz left college. So, for her trying to portray a college student with like a college outfit and whatnot, it feels like regressing. And while she has that stuck-up agent type of personality, who is kind of like a misandrist. I think that's the word for women that don't like men. I think it's misandrist. Misandropy? What do you call it? I think it's misandry, right? Misandry. The hatred, dislike, or ignorant prejudice against men or boys. Here we go. So yeah, she has a lot of misandry over there because she always had to prove herself to be better, especially in her family, because she was trying to play the boy for her father. That's why she has kind of like a very aggressive position towards Brett. Not only that, she's an agent, so seeing a guy that is kind of a douchebag, plus he's a drug dealer, she is like programmed to dislike him, which is going to change in the future. Jazz has a really kind heart, and you will be seeing a lot of this, because I can probably spoil a little bit so you guys can see a little bit more about Jazz. But when Jazz saw Chris for the first time, it came off kind of like an asshole. Like the way you looked at her, she felt like it was kind of creepy. And that left her already feeling like negative about someone that she will always feel negative about, because she likes Alicia and realizes that she has a boyfriend. And then in Jazz's mind, when they have sex so loudly in their house, it feels like he's disrespecting everyone involved. Like, he has no respect for himself, he has no respect for his girlfriend, making her put on a show to not only Jazz, who is around, but the neighbors and whatnot. She feels like it's very disrespectful, and it's disrespectful towards Jazz. Plus, she likes Alicia, and it's a little bit of NTR, even though people don't relate as much because it's a girl and people tend to imprint. but people don't even realize that the NTR already started. Like Jazz has feelings for Alicia, and she has to see and hear Alicia get plowed every day for like 3 days straight. So yeah, it's kind of like showing that Jazz is a human side, and you will realize that even though Jazz is an agent, she has a really kind heart. So to spoil a little bit about Jazz, soon she will find the oboe camp in Devon City, and she will come over. She will try to bring them food and do all this kind of stuff for them. Eventually, as Jazz goes there more times, one of the guys that you guys have seen in Fleeting Iris is going to try and get to be a little bit more daring with her, and try to do some stuff. And obviously, the first time that he tries stuff like that, Jazz is going to go away. She won't be showing up for a while, but then eventually she's going to return, and there will be actually some cameos where Jazz actually sees Ayami in there, doing some of her Fleeting Iris scenes and whatnot. And at this point, Jazz is already a lot more curious about sex with males and whatnot. At this point, she will have sex with Chris and whatnot. So this will be a little bit more further in the story. But also in Brett is kind of like the first person that kind of breaks her, because instead of acting like a douchebag, what Brett is gonna do is kind of try to use like emotional blackmail with her. And so what's going to happen is Brett is going to push his luck one more time with Jazz, and she's going to break his arm, and he's going to have to miss school. She starts by going to his home, dropping the lessons, kind of like trying to summarize what he was supposed to learn in school that day. And for the first early days, she's going to try and like support him, study with him, and eventually he's going to try and approach her more and more and more. Eventually he's going to get her to do stuff for him, and eventually he's going to get her to do sexual stuff for him. And you'll see that Jazz is the type of person that can kind of be emotionally blackmailed, which is someone that is really strong and at defending herself from people that try to like blackmail her, like physically blackmail her, or more like coerce her. Jazz is a person with like really high values, and usually she doesn't let people boss her around, but they can. Sympathy is kind of like a Trojan horse to Jazz, especially from boys, because she was always treated like a tomboy. So people, boys never treated her well. They always called her butch and stuff like that. So she never actually got like proper attention from boys, and in her job, like almost everybody knows that she's technically a lesbian, so nobody approaches her and whatnot. And Brett is kind of one of the first guys that actually approaches her in that regard. Of course, Brett is douchebag, kind of, eventually she kind of grows on him, but eventually at the beginning he just wants to get in her pants. And obviously later down the road, this turns into cameos with Eve and whatnot. But as Jazz progresses, especially later down the road, you will see Jazz with like long hair, trying to look more like a woman, dressing more like a lady and whatnot. So this will make Jazz look a lot more, I would say, I'm going to use the word sexy, but it's going to improve her personality. It's going to improve her sexiness, her design, because right now she's supposed to look a little bit more like a lesbian. And someone mentioned something about her previous character being more likable, and yeah, her design used to be a lot more jovial, and honestly it didn't look as much as a tomboy. It made it feel like someone just didn't care. She was trying to look sexy but couldn't, more than the current design, where it actually feels like she tries to unsexualize herself. It's kind of like the way I feel about the difference in designs. So I definitely feel like as the game will progress, you will see Jess start using earrings, Jess starting to behave more like a woman, more feminine, look more feminine and whatnot. Eventually, she will let her in some scenes that will happen after some time skip. You will see her grow her hair, dress like proper dresses and whatnot, and eventually this is going to hopefully change people's perspective and opinion on Jazz. I feel like the character has a lot of potential, but right now she's kind of like playing a role, and I know that a lot of people see this see this role in a hostile manner, which is kind of the objective, which is why it makes it more fun to break Jazz. Does that make sense for you guys? And Eve is kind of like, Eve is so obsessed with doing a good job that right now there's two things mostly conflicting on Eve. One is Eve's romantic life. Eve is pushing a certain age. I think she's 30 plus. I don't remember how old she is. She's like 32 or 35 or something like that. I will have to double check. But you know, you'll learn how old she is right at the start of the game on her initial monologue. And Eve is someone that right now is not resolved sexually. She's someone that to who sex is really important in her life. It's a really important part of her life, and she basically hasn't been able to get any action for quite a while. She has been hitting on a few people on her job, but to no luck. She kind of hits on Clark. You more or less see a little bit of this dynamic in the Christmas party, even though that part is not, canonical, but it kind of shows the type of relationship that they have. And when she goes to school, you're going to be seeing her doing stuff that she says something but behaves differently, and not always what she says reflects how she feels, which is why the menus are going to be important, because the menus that I showed last week. There is a menu that you will see how he feels in general and how he feels towards someone, and there will be an option, like I explained, where you will show the true feelings of Eve towards someone, kind of like seeing our subconscious feels about someone. So sorry, there will be a way to see how Eve wants to feel about someone, how she says she feels about someone, what she tells herself she feels about someone. Okay, that's one thing. And there's going to be another thing, which is how Eve truly feels about someone, and how subconsciously Eve feels about someone. And Eve is someone that likes attention, likes being put in front of everything else. So Eve is someone that tries to act right, but sometimes lacks the strength to do so. And she always tries to be like super stern. She tries to be inflexible, because that's how she believes people on a superior position to hers in the CIA behave. There's just a stern, inflexible level of professionalism there, which is what she believes it is. But that is not the true Eve. Eve spends most of her life trying to pretend she's not a certain type of person with a certain type of personality. And that's kind of like what created, or potentially created, it's going to be up to the player, but that's going to be part of what creates the conflicts early on that makes her feel more interested in Terry than she feels about Martin. And just to give you an idea, like, the principal is kind of like, Eve really dislikes him, but initially she's like, I really can't mess this up. Like, if this guy blabs, the mission is over. This guy is like the one person that couldn't learn about this. Like, if for whatever reason he blabs and people realize that there's agents in the school, the mission is going to fall on its ass. Everybody that is part of the cartel is going to be alerted. We're probably going to get fired. The students' parents are going to figure out this is going to be a massive scandal, and she needs to avoid it regardless of what happens. And she's going to try and negotiate with him to do the least amount of possible she can do to keep the mission going and keep him, shut. And obviously this is going to develop a little further down the road. But when it comes to Martin and Terry, it feels it's as obvious as it looks. Like Eve, Martin is the guy that she wants to fall in love with. He's the nice guy, really hardworking, super nice to her, good person in general. At least she believes. There was actually a plot that we were that we planned initially, but we're not gonna run with that. Where Martin was actually the mastermind behind all the evil shit happening in the back, which will be a super funny plot twist. But it will be incredibly complex to write that one, and I don't feel like I wanted the effort to do so, or I had the capability to do so. Because I will have to write the character in a way that it kind of feels like he's being tricked the whole game, and in the end he's like, see, I wasn't being tricked, you were. But this kind of deters, in my personal opinion, from all the NTR that would have happened until that moment. Because it's like, oh, you thought you were like breaking my, hurting my feelings. I didn't care this whole time. You were played the whole time. And I feel like it will detract from the NTR. So I was like, listen, maybe story-wise the final delivery will be cool, but in terms of like the anti, it might have been like a massive miss. People will be like, oh, so there was actually no NTR this whole time. She was actually being played. Aw, womp womp. And I didn't want to risk it, so I was like, yeah, let's abandon that idea. Terry is the type of guy that you will figure out the kind of relationship he has with Eve, but basically, if you decide to go, let's assume that you always go with the bad part and that she has sex with everyone and whatnot. Basically, Eve is super infatuated by Terry. Like, he's the type of guy she actually likes, but tells herself that she don't. The douchebag, good-looking, great at sex type of dude, and he's the type of guy that Eve tries to stay away from, but essentially can't. And obviously, it's going to be the player's decision, but essentially, that's what happens throughout the game. And she just falls for him in the end. It's like, sorry, Martin, I don't care about your feelings. I care about mine more than I do about yours. And this is what happened. With Hank, it's kind of different. With Hank, it's like it's mostly her sexual. It's her sexual side speaking, because Hank is very raw, very he's very lewd about everything, and Eve kind of hates the guy that he is. But even on the first scene, you kind of see that we are going to try and explain it more by words. But I was trying to, I've been reading a lot about writing stories in video games and books and whatnot. I followed a lot of rules that people say, listen, I know you might think you're the shit and you're the next best thing and you're like the next Spielberg, but there are these rules, and more often than not, if you don't follow them, you're gonna fuck up. And I've already mentioned a few of them, such as if a scene does not improve a character or the plot, it's not doing anything there. And that's the type of stuff that we try to stay away. But another thing that people that I've read about games in general is show don't tell. There's more about show don't tell, especially in a game. If you can make it visually, or if you can make it through two characters talking, don't just grab a lot of narrator stuff. This happened because of this and whatever, this and this and this and this. Like, it's easier to let the player actually see what is happening, other than explaining to the player what is happening. It's better to have a podcast and try to debate with the players afterwards. How did you interpret that scene? What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? And let players discuss afterwards how they felt about it. Then kind of explain, this is how you should feel about this scene, you know? And something that I found funny about that scene, but I'm going to try to write it more into the scene. Because eventually I had the idea of actually having Martin come outside. But we're going to save that one for later. While Eve is watching Hank masturbate to her on the window. And a lot of people didn't realize that Eve could have seen that and instantly look away and be like, oh my god, this guy's a pervert. She already gathered all the information that she needed, but she didn't leave. Eve was there for a good 2 minutes. So, even though we can argue that Hank is more wrong, because I do believe that these are not moral absolutes. There's wrong and there's very wrong. There's a lot of shades of gray here. There's not white and black. You cannot be just wrong and right. There's tons of shades of gray. And Hank can be more wrong because he did have the camera, the hidden camera on on Eve's bathroom, but Eve is also spying on Hank for like 2 minutes straight while this dude is masturbating to her. And she doesn't even realize that she's just staying there because she wants to. And the way he speaks about her, she actually gets excited, right? And Eve is a very sexual woman. Eve is a person that loves sex. Eve is a woman that, while her morals are really high, sometimes her urges get the best out of her. Most of the times he doesn't. She's able to like fight them back, but her urges kick like a mule. Like at that point, Eve is getting super excited. She's getting infatuated. She's refusing it, but because she finds Hank despicable and whatnot. But at the same time, she starts getting infatuated by she sees Hank's dick. She gets infatuated by that. She gets infatuated by the way that he talks about her. All the debauchery, the way that he talks about her and what he will do to her and whatnot. It kind of like stirs her curiosity how things will work if she actually gave Hank a chance or whatnot, or what would he do if she kind of submitted to him. And you will see this dynamic kind of play out through the game, where she kind of hates Hank, but she loves how he fawns about her and how he makes her feel. And with Morgan, it's completely different. Morgan is kind of like Eve did never have a lot of people that felt like they cared about her and were trying to protect her. And you will see that the next big scene with Morgan is Eve is trying to infiltrate in the school, and there's people looking for her, and she's about to get caught, and Morgan pulls her into his janitor closet, his little janitor room. And Eve is terrified because she feels like Morgan is about to tell on her. He obviously will recognize her. And Morgan protects her, and Eve is kind of confused why he's on her side. And Morgan says that he really likes her, that he feels like she's a good person, whatever. And you will see Morgan during the stuff that he realizes a lot of the stuff that Eve does, especially because he goes and look into her garbage. He's going to overhear a few conversations and whatnot. And you could easily snitch on her, and he's not going to use any of that to take advantage of her. He's going to try and act all nice towards her. Eventually, she will feel some sort of like connection, plus kind of like some sort of depth towards him, and it's going to be playing like a different dynamic. And all these characters have like different ways to get to the hearts of our characters. So while we want to create a progressive type of corruption, we also want every character to have their own reasonings and kind of like a different scenario, like a different perspective where they try to get to the other characters. And unlike Ayame, which we want to create as like this very pure, pristine, innocent character, we want to create Eve and Jazz with values, but we also want to make them human, right? So we want the corruption to feel very human, very realistic, but at the same time, we also want to see that we want to show that the characters sometimes want stuff more than they care to admit. And we will try to do this with the show don't tell technique, but I feel like stuff such as the relationship menu are going to play a big part on this. So I feel like this will answer a lot of the questions that we're going to get in the future. So let's look at some of the other answers. Someone said, we want to see some more sexy outfits, even sex scenes and tattoos. We want to see makeover depending on the corruption level, and we want to see some side events depending on corruption and BDSM. Absolutely not. As much as I feel like everything that was suggested in this one line looks great, it also means we have to do a lot more scenes differently depending on the amount of stages that they could have at a certain point. So what we're going to do is, the game is going to be like Persona. If you didn't unlock stage 1, you don't get access to stage 2. And if you sleep on stage 1 for too long, you will no longer have access to that character. That means if you want to have sex with the whole school, get active fast. If you don't want to deal with a certain character, ignore them right away. But if you ignore someone too much until late game, you might miss a bunch of scenes. We are not going to write the same scene 5 different times depending on how the character looks. This means this is the same regarding more outfits. We are going to have outfits depending on the scenes, but we will not have like the character has 10 outfits. You can watch this scene with any one of those 10 outfits. That's not a thing. We will have more sexy outfits starting next patch. And all of this makeover depending on the corruption, yes, but on scenes isolated, not on you can either have this or this or this or that. That's crazy amount of work. If we have to write a scene twice, depending on the corruption level, that's one less scene that we're writing that could be a different scene. And that is true for if we have to spend a lot of time drawing a scene with different costumes, if we want to draw a scene with different this, different that. Not only that, some scenes are easy to animate, you animate once, and maybe if you add another costume, maybe the second costume kind of can be animated similar to the first one. Or maybe the costume is completely different and you have to reanimate the scene. So a scene with 10 costumes might mean 5 different animations. You know? So there's all this crazy stuff that we're gonna have. Morgan asked, any mini spoiler about what outfits will be for each route? We don't have all of them. We will decide as we go. But starting next patch, you are going to see like a gala dress, because Evie's going to be going on a dinner with Martin, like she promised. So she's going to be using the gala dress. And before that, she has a meeting with an informer in the park. So above that gala dress, she's going to be wearing a trench coat and some dark sunglasses. And when she gets there, big spoilers again, big spoilers. If you don't want to be big spoiled, careful. The guy is going to be Hank. He's going to be the informer. And the reason why he's an informer is because he knows a lot of shit about a lot of people. He has a lot of buildings around town, and he's spying on all of them. And a lot of them are given to to criminals and people associated with the school and whatnot. So he knows a lot of dirt about a lot of people. So she goes to the park dressed in a gala dress, red gala dress, similar to the one Ayame goes and meets Armand in Fleeting Hours. And she's going to have a trench coat, like a CIA trench coat, and like dark sunglasses, so she won't be recognized. And there's going to be seen in the park in that. And obviously there's going to be the cheerleader costume that you guys know she's going to have. Obviously there's going to be the spy costumes. There's going to be a cow a cow-plaid bikini for Eve. Also later down the road, there's going to be some latex BDSM stuff, and there's going to be a lot more stuff. It's going to be like Fleeting Hours, depending on the scene and depending on the route. You are going to be having a lot of costumes, but these are just some of the costumes that we are going to have. I don't want to spoil all of them right away, but this is just an idea of a few costumes that we're going to have down the road. And these are just a few. Maybe Brett gets Eve to wear a few. Maybe Chris also gets Jess to wear a few. We will be seeing more costumes down the road, but I don't want to spoil the entire game right now. So yeah, like I said, I really like the idea of having more outfits and whatnot, but there will be like, this outfit is associated with this scene. Doing more than that, it's a lot more extra work that could be put into a different scene, and we appreciate more having more scenes other than having more variations of one scene. And I know that a lot of people are not going to agree with this exactly, but it's how I feel. It's how we feel about it. In general, the whole team feels that way about it. Another answer that we got to the question was intense gangbang scene and if possible gang rape and sharing among antagonists, slutty outfits, tattoos, and makeover depending on corruption for each girl. Feels like the same exact answer. Like I said previously, all these intense gangbang and possible gang rape scenes will be mostly available on their spy missions. That's where we're going to get most of this. I don't even know if we should probably say these words, Mo. Even though the channel is classified as an adult and blocked as an adult, it feels like, you know. Regarding the makeover depending on the corruption, that's not going to happen. It's going to happen depending on how far you are in a route, but you won't be able to see you won't be able to see the same scene in a billion different ways. We might have a few exceptions to that, but in general, this will not be the rule. Also, sharing among antagonists will be left for the final scenes. There will be some of this, but they will be mostly towards the end of the routes. Someone said nothing, which is probably someone that voted 10, which I appreciate. Someone said not always falling in the trick of the other. They still are agents. So this supporter probably is saying that it doesn't want characters to be as naive and always falling in the tricks of others. I feel like what I explained earlier kind of explains that they're not falling for a trick. They want to fall for the tricks. Yes, they are still agents, but yes, they are also still human. Evie's under a lot of pressure, and she feels like her mission is about to collapse. That's why she's being very agreeable from the start. But even with Morgan, you can pick letting Eve be groped or slapping the person, right? And we might be able to change the game where you are able to make other decisions, like when you see Hank doing what he's doing in his room, you might in the future be able to like knock on the door, tell him to take out the cameras and whatnot. Or maybe when Eve comes in and does like a bypass on her house to see what kind of surveillance systems are in her house, she can decide to leave them there or remove them. So there will be some agency for the player, but we need to walk a line where things being sexy and exciting trump realism and oh no, they're agents. Okay? So it's a thin line between they're agents and they're human. And we want to be able to make it where we also get the most sexuality out of the characters while also make it realistic that probably someone in their position will probably put a stop to something in there. So we're going to try and do this, and I hope my writing take us there and delivers the result that is intended. But we'll see in the future. But that's kind of what is happening. We need to make a balance here between their agents and their human, and they actually want this. And hopefully, hopefully show don't tell takes us there. Someone answered too early to tell for me, which is justified. Someone said I'm bad with improvements, but I think I will reduce Evelyn's bust size a little bit. People will lynch me. I like, this is an opinion, and obviously I understand, and it's a valid opinion. Someone will reduce Evelyn's bust size a little bit, and then people will lynch me. So it's a trade-off. Since I don't want to be lynched, I'm going to keep it, and also, different designs, the whole thing that I've explained before, but totally valid. Someone said Jazz previous design was more alluring in my opinion. Yes, but I feel like this reflects her current personality more and makes her look more her age. And this way, when we shift her towards looking more sexy, it has a bigger impact. So we are planning on the growth of the character. Someone said, I didn't really like Jazz's personality, but oh well, maybe that will change as the plot progresses. Let's hope it does. Let's hope Jazz becomes more likable. Someone said, maybe make Jazz more docile, and maybe Evelyn can be a little bit more hard to get. Yeah, so these are the type of things that I'm trying to... respect. But this is on purpose. Jazz is supposed to be like a stuck-up bitch that is going to be brought down a notch, and Evelyn is someone that believes she's a stuck-up bitch, and she's struggling with her human side and her urges and her body needs and whoever who she truly is, and this is going to be decided by the player. So the decisions in the future will make Evelyn be more hard to get. But also, you can decide for Evelyn to not be more hard to get. You might want to decide make Evelyn more human and more flawed. And we are going to be letting the players decide if you want Jazz to Evelyn to be kind of like a stuck-up bitch agent, or if you want Evelyn to be like, I'm a stuck-up bitch agent that actually loves dick. And I'm gonna let the player decide which one she is, and to each their own. And players can pick the R to get Evelyn, and the others can pick the town bike Evelyn. And we're gonna let the players decide and let everybody be happy, and do what we usually do, which is try to let everybody get their play the something for everyone type game. And hopefully everybody gets what they want out of it. In the future, not now, maybe in 2-3 years, depending on how AI evolves. But maybe we can go, hey AI, do this exact scene with this exact animation, but with this different costume that I designed. And maybe we can have like a billion different scenes with a billion different costumes. And maybe we can even go, hey AI, redraw all these scenes, but this character, give her smaller tits, or maybe even bigger tits. Maybe people want to go even bigger, and by all means, if we can optimize work on that to that extent, believe it, I have enough time on my side of production where I will 100% add all that. 100% I will do that. Sadly, we're not there yet, and sadly, we have to decide where we channel our resources, which are extremely limited. So, for now, we're going to have this. We're going to try and make the game as optimizable as possible, where everybody can pick what they want. how they want the characters to react to something, and maybe in the future we can do this even further. But for now, we are going to play with the cards that we were dealt. And this one, Jasmine is a bit too manly, was my guess as to what people would say. I missed. Womp womp. Now, let's go to another one that I thought was really cool. Oh shit, I won't be able to fit all of them here. But I will do 3. I will do 3 and then I will do another 3. Or maybe I can do 2 images. Give me a second. This might work. Let's call this yada yada 1 and call the other one yada yada 2. Maybe I can do this. This might work. So this question is it's kind of a feedback on which antagonists people like the most, and I asked people to rearrange the order from which one were their favorites and which one they like the leastest. And I have to say, I am slightly impressed with the results and slightly not. I was kind of expecting this. In some of the characters I was like, huh, really? I thought this character will be more popular. But then I realized, yeah, I see why people don't find this character more likable. People don't know what I know. And that's you know, that's always a problem with developing. There's a lot of things that you're like, oh, I know why this is happening, but no one else does. Or I know why this character is a lot more interesting than they look like, but people don't know that. So maybe in the future their opinion changes, but for now this is going to be the opinions based on the first batch. So let me try and save this. I'm going to call this order, and I'm going to share this with you guys. Delete this one. The discussion has been had. Hopefully people understand why we made the choices that we made, or why we are not making the changes right now that for characters that we hope that improve in the future and whatnot, and other changes in design and whatnot. And where could my baby be? This one I'm gonna have to be like transform fit to screen, maybe. Yeah, I hope you guys can read this one. So this is me asking people to put in order their favorite characters, and so this is from let me just make sure what I'm saying to make sure I didn't say something silly. Right, so if you look at Ezekiel, let's look at Ezekiel as the example. If you look at Ezekiel, there are 6 bars. The top one, then which is like a dark blue. Then you have like a sky blue. You have like a shitty grass green, and then you have like a more powerful green. Then you have like something that looks like a Bordeaux or whatever. I don't know. I'm a man. I don't know colors. And then there's like bright red or whatever the fuck it's called. Now, the top one was how many times this character was voted out of potentially 25 times. Let me see. 8 plus 8, 20, 8 plus 4, 12 plus 4, 16 plus 5, 21 plus 3, 24 plus 1, 25. Okay, so that's all 25 votes, meaning that everybody rearranged the order, which means we got all 25 votes here. Some people could have decided not to vote, maybe not, but it means, looking as Ezekiel as the principal as example, it was voted as someone's favorite character once. It was voted as someone's second favorite character 4 times. It was voted as someone's third favorite character 8 times. And then it was voted as the fourth 4 times, as the fifth 5 times, and as the least favorite character 3 times. I can probably say, as you can probably look at the screen, that Hank, the landlord, was the big winner of the first demo. Hank was voted the favorite character over a third of the times. Hank was picked as the favorite character 9 times out of 25, with 5 other picks as second favorite. Hank is the Melvin of Bloodlust. Sorry. I'm not sorry about the joke. I'm sorry about the cough. Now, I do feel like Hank had a disproportionate amount of attention on the demo that everyone else did. And he does come off with really strong like his personality is kind of like cliche. He's the fat ugly bastard that lives next door, happens to be the landlord, happens to be incredibly scummy and put cameras on her house and whatnot. So there's a lot of strengths already to Hank's personality, whereas the other characters might have not had as much interactions or whatnot that make the character feel interesting to some. But what I found even extra interesting was, first of all, Terry was voted as the fifth less favorite, a whopping 7 times, while Morgan the janitor, which rarely appears in the game, as 6 times the least favorite, but also as 6 times the most favorite, and happens to come in second a whole 8 times. He is probably people's second favorite character, and he almost didn't participate in the game at all. But he had the slap in the ass. It comes off as the typical creepy old bastard janitor, whatever. So I feel like the stereotypes behind these characters are already playing a lot in their favor. Because, like I said, we can argue that Hank had a disproportionate amount of character build and a disproportionate amount of participation in the patch and whatnot and all that. But if you look at it inversely, Morgan had some of the least amount of participation, and he has a very considerable amount of first times in the crazy amount of second places. The character that people liked the least was easily Chris, Jazz's roommate's boyfriend. We hope that we can get the guy that breaks the lesbian to be a bit more interesting in the future. Apparently, people don't appreciate the female NTR perspective as much, because I feel like people have a really hard time imprinting on that. So we'll see. He's still got 2 first favorites and 2 second favorites. But I feel like the most interesting year is looking at Hank and Morgan. Morgan, because even though he didn't have a lot of screen time, he got a lot of positive votings, even though he had 6 least favorites. But Hank wasn't anyone's least favorite a single time. You know? And yeah, Morgan said it's too early to vote for interactions. Hank was the one we get to see the most interacting with Eve. Yeah, he said, I think Chris' main drawback is that his target is not Eve. I do feel that that is part of what is setting him back. I do agree that I believe that's one of his main drawbacks. So he's one of the least favorite characters doing a move on the second favorite protagonist. It might work against him. This might definitely work against him. But I do feel like we hope that in the future, as the characters start getting more of their plot going on, we have a few changes and we see the list balance out a little bit more. Although I do believe that Hank might stay at the top for a while, if not throughout the entire game. I think Hank and Terry have the strongest plots, and then in terms of design, it's going to depend on on how you like the characters. But I do hope that we get to see, in general, the least favorite characters balanced a little bit more towards the top. I do not see Hank being less liked. In fact, we might end up having a Melvin situation where people request for at least one Hank scene to be released every patch. This was a thing during Fleeting Iris, by the way. People might not realize, but we had people don't realize, but in Fleeting Iris, while we were doing the main quest line, we were not working on the free roam. While we were still working on the routes, for people that don't remember, we had like 7 or 8 different routes or whatnot at one point. And we were working a little bit. Now we're going to work on the cosplay convention, and now we're going to work on Sato, and now we're going to work on the swingers, and now we're going to work on the family route and whatever. It regardless of what we worked on Fleeting Iris, we had to. People literally voted. We got like 70 plus votes, close to 80% votes, where people voted. You need to have every patch a Melvin scene. This was actually a thing on Fleeting Iris, for those that don't remember. I feel like we might have a similar thing here in Bloodlust, where every patch we need to have an egg scene. We might deliver. We'll see. I hope. I definitely hope that these characters, as Jazz becomes more, as Jazz increases her appeal, and as you start seeing the characters plotting and whatnot, I hope some characters grow up very, very soon. I feel like Terry and Brett are the ones that are going to get the earliest boost. So we'll see. Hank, Terry, and Morgan are going to be the top 3. So Morgan is already doing the predictions who he thinks is going to be the top 3 at the end. I don't know. I feel like the Ezekiel. I feel like Ezekiel's power struggle is going to be kind of interesting, and I really like one of the endings that I have planned for him. Plot twist: Ezekiel dies, and he's not killed by any of the agents. He's killed by his boss, which you will realize who he is later down the road. It's gonna be a really cool. It's gonna be a really cool ending. Someone is gonna arrive and say, "You are no longer needed. All the bitches are mine now." I'm not kidding. This is literally one of the endings. Someone is going to arrive, kill Ezekiel, take all the bitches for him. You probably know, like people that have been following Fleeting Iris probably already know who's going to do that. It's going to be really funny. And this person is going to turn into a demon and is going to turn Evelyn into a succubus. So it's going to be, you wanted to see more outfits. There's one where Evelyn becomes a succubus. How about that one? We need to keep moving on, else we're not going to have time to finish this today. And I really want to let you guys go on about your lives. Let's get this out of the way and look at the next question. And it's the final question, which is, what do you want to see more in our games or less of? Please give us our suggestions. And then there's a part that says AI analysis. Who cares? I don't want AI to analyze any of this. So here we go. Boom, bap, boom, save, export, finale. And let's go to the final part so you guys can go about your lives. Remember, if you want to ask any questions right now, do feel free. We try to answer everything that you put in chat. And if you're not watching this live, no problem. Show up on our Discord and feel free to show up and discuss the game with us and other supporters. And I feel like, personally, one of the strongest points of the poll was, I feel like people don't show up on Discord and discuss things more because they want to try to preserve their anonymity, and even behind the nickname that no one knows, they might feel too shy or whatever, or want to preserve their anonymity to actually speak in Discord, even though we keep encouraging people to do so. We are a really open group, and even if sometimes I do come off as, harsh or whatever, I'm always playing, dude. I like 99.9% of what I say is not to be taken seriously at all. And neither is what anyone else says. on Discord. Like all of us, usually the admins, everybody there, we're just fucking around 99% of the times. No one is actually seriously, taking shit seriously or angry or whatever. We're just messing around. Which it's easier to convey that you're messing around and that you're joking. Personally, but online, if you're actually speaking on a microphone, you might actually come off more as I was joking around because of the tone, because you don't need your tone in written dialogue. You don't need your tone there. And even online, even when you're speaking to a microphone, people sometimes misinterpret your intentions. But it's all good, dude. They show up. Sometimes we're talking about our games. Sometimes we're talking about other games. So definitely, dude. Like everybody, show up to our Discord. We treat everybody really nicely. Boys, ladies, it doesn't matter. Just show up and start talking, dude. Like a lot of people are participating a lot in the Discord nowadays. That they just showed up and started talking, and people embrace them. So there's that. So let's go to the final questions and try to finish this in like 5 minutes. So the last question was, what do you want to see more in the game or less of? And give us your suggestions. Someone said more hidden NTR scenes and probably more emphasis on the cheating aspect. We are going to have so much of that. So much. I already explained last week about Martin's anxiety meter. So just to put in perspective, Ezekiel is going to find out that Martin is dating Eve, so he's going to do stuff around him on purpose. To the point where they go have dinner all together, he gropes Eve. There's the scene where they're driving in the car right next to them, and Eve is giving Zeke a blowjob, and they're right next to them, but Zeke is like, don't worry about it. The car windows are not see-through, so basically they're right next to them while Evie's doing that stuff. There's one scene where he calls Martin to his office on purpose while Evie's under the desk, only to kind of like tease Eve and other stuff. Now keep in mind there's all the Terry scenes, which is Martin's childhood friend. 90% of those scenes are going to happen around Martin. And remember that Hank lives right next Martin. Like his apartment is in the middle of Eve's and Martin's apartment. So a lot of scenes are going to happen, also going to be involving Martin. So there's going to be so much Martin involved in the whole game. I don't want to say that at least 80% of the scenes are going to be directly involving Martin, and Martin is going to be around, but probably a number that high. Which was one of my personal criticisms towards Fleeting Iris, was that we did not use Robert as much, and most scenes felt more like cheating other than actual NTR. That's something that we want to fix on the Fleeting Iris remake, but we will do it right on Bloodlust. Martin will be around a lot. I can guarantee you that. So there's going to be more emphasis on the NTR aspect. Someone else said, lots of BDSM and public sex, hardcore sex, and sex in corruption, and if possible, sharing among antagonists. I feel like it was the same person that said something similar on the last time. But yes, there's going to be a considerable amount of BDSM. There's going, especially on the missions. There's going to be a lot of public sex, like a lot. There's going to be an adequate amount of hardcore sex, and there's going to be corruption sex. Someone said, Eden sex scenes and cosplay gangbang and lots of sexy outfits. Drugs and knockout and maybe epilogue 1 week after full corruption. Eden sex scenes, a bunch of them. Cosplay gangbang? Maybe free roam if people support us enough. Lots of sexy outfits. I got you there. Drugs. I got you there. Just not on Patreon and Subscribestar. And knockout, which probably means game over stuff. And maybe epilogue 1 week after full corruption. Yeah, we're gonna have tons of that. Someone also said more engagement, mini games, items, cash, linear story with branches like Fleeting Iris, but not very big, so they are divided. Yeah, we're definitely going to add all that. There's going to be a lot more engagement in mini games and all that stuff. Not as much as Journey Abroad. Journey Abroad is going to be a lot more rich in Journey Abroad is going to be a lot more rich in minigames because you're actually like developing a character. It's going to be an RN game with a very what do people call those? Oh man, what do you call those games? It's like life sim or whatever, where you have to increase the character's stats and whatnot. So that game is going to have a lot more mini games and items and cash and whatnot that is relevant. Bloodlust is not gonna be relevant in that regard. There's going to be mini games, but not in that regard. They're going to be like story associated, like sneaking into a certain place and whatnot. There's going to be items, but they're mostly like outfits and weapons that you can change and stuff like that. Cash is not going to be. There's going to be references to it, but it's not going to be important for the game. And then obviously there's going to be a lot of story with branches like Fleeting Guards. But if you want to see a lot about character development and whatnot, Journey Abroad is going to be a lot better for that. Someone said, I want to see the main characters with other different outfits. Maeve, Party, Cow for Eve. Oh, wow. Personally, always love to see stockings in every outfit. Well, you're going to see all of those. I can guarantee it. I want to see Battle Fuck system, but not like Karen's Prison, please. Or if you have to, make the character more interactive. In Karen, they just fuck the warden without any type of spicy dialogue. Yeah, I also dislike that a lot about Karen's Prison. It's about that all the characters are like just faceless characters. All the characters that have the personality that she could have sex with, like the guy that pesters us right at the start, and like the pig dude and whatever. Like none of those characters ever become relevant in the game. And I also thought that was like the weakest point of Karen's Prison. I like all these faceless characters with no personalities and whatnot. Also don't do it for me. Like I like my games with story. I want to see defeat sex scenes by other students, teachers, and drug addicts. Yeah. By other students, we have a route planned. You will have to pay for that one. We need support to do that one. It's extra. The teachers, yes, we have an ending with that. Drug addicts, yes, we have an ending with that. We want to see some scenes involving some hypno, mind control, and BDSM. Okay, BDSM, yes. Hypno and mind control, absolutely. I hate that. Hypno and mind control are in my top 3. I hate this shit type of game. They are messed up like 90% of the times. It's that, it's multiverses, and it's time travel. All three of those things usually are the triumvirate of don't touch this with a 10-foot pole. There will be a couple scenes where the characters might be under the influence and their sexual urges might be through the roof. And there is one scene that a certain someone might try to put some truth serum on the drink of another certain someone. That certain someone sees it, switches the glasses, and the person that tried to put the truth serum on another person ends up admitting that they love getting railed. That might be a scene. I don't know. I'm just saying that it might. Not saying that I could have just thought of this right now. Or it might be an actual planned scene. I don't know. I guess we'll find out, right? Someone said more people to take advantage of jazz. There will be the hobos, which will join Brett and Chris as the people that do it. We wanted to have 3 antagonists for each character. Antagonists, air quotes. For Eve, there was supposed to be, because we wanted to make the game short. We want to release this game and move on to the other 2 games eventually. For Eve, we wanted to have the principal, the landlord, the high school, the gym teacher that was the past bully, whatever. We added Morgan later down the road because we thought that the janitor would actually fit. We had plans for it, but this was before Morgan actually made a huge push for the janitor. We already had plans for the janitor, but we kind of pushed it to the side. And then Jazz will also have 3 antagonists, which will be Brett, Chris, and then eventually the hobos. And the guy that basically has his way with RM and Fleeting Iris. I don't remember his name, but that guy. And then Eve just got to have 4 because it's not going to be like a long route and all the scenes are impeccable and they're going to add a lot to the story. and they're going to be kind of like associated with their spy things. So yeah, but yeah, if Jazz will have plenty of people to take advantage of, plus all the spy stuff that happens and whatnot, and plus all the stuff that we have planned for them later down the road if people support us enough. There's scenes where they go and infiltrate the strip club and whatnot, but we just want people to support us to be able to get more people working in the team and be able to dish out a lot more content. Either like right now we're struggling really hard and we're trying to focus mostly on the main scenes, on the main routes. But yeah, if people support us, dude, we can do so much. But if people don't support us, we have to. We'll see if we'll be able to finish the game at all. So we're gonna try and focus on the essentials. Someone also said more playing around with the drug team with Brad and the principal. Yes, obviously there's gonna be a lot of that. Like using Jazz to hook up with other girls by spiking drugs or just convince them. No, our agents are not going to spike drinks off other girls. That's not gonna happen. Blowjob on a drugless penis. Yeah, that's gonna happen. Someone said scenes that sell me the game. Valid. There was not a lot of that in the first demo. There are scenes, but maybe people don't consider like masturbation or street for me or maybe people don't consider those scenes. Someone said I like to see choices that matter. And also for Eve's ex-boyfriend to be present during a sex scene without knowing it's Evelyn, like behind a curtain or something like that. There's going to be plenty of choices. Eve's ex-boyfriend / current boyfriend, because she's gonna start dating him again in the next patch. But he's going to be present during most of the sex scenes. A lot of them not knowing it's Evelyn, but actually knowing it's her, because I feel like it's better. He starts by not knowing it's her, and then like halfway through the scene, he kind of like figures out it's her, but he's too afraid to look. The anxiety meter is going to play like an important part. It's going to be funny. And yes, there's obviously the scenes behind the curtain and whatnot. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of choices, and a lot of scenes behind curtains and stuff like that. Someone said I would like shorter content at some point. Yeah, absolutely. You guys just gotta chip in. That's definitely not going to be in the main route. And that's not something that we can commercialize on Patreon or Subscribestar. So if you guys want to see an addition to Eve, where Eve, Ayame and Eve become friends, and Ayame is like, oh, I need to go to this house and I need to take care of these kids, and they meet Eve. Yeah, I can totally do that. You guys just have to chip in. We are willing to work if you guys are willing to pay. That's it. And finally, someone said, maybe more corruption progress like in Fleeting Iris. We will also have that. Like we shared last week. There will be 2 levels. Let me see if I have this right here. Like we shared, there's going to be 2 levels of corruption. There's going to be like some sort of like immediate corruption level, and there's going to be a more progressive corruption level. I think this is the one. Give me a second. This doesn't actually show them. Wait, give me a second then. Yeah, this is Eve by herself. So in this menu, so I'm gonna need to show 2 menus for you guys to understand this. So the goal is going to be this, and this is going to be the last thing. Then we're gonna go away. It's gonna be good. We're gonna be going away for a week, and next week we're gonna have a podcast maybe. So in this menu, as you see on the right side, on the left side, you see the emotional connection as well as the sexual chemistry. And that's towards that specific character. Now imagine those bars, right? Imagine those specific bars, but instead of saying that, they're going to be in this menu right here. Give me a second. Let me just add the image. They're going to be in this menu right here on the left side, which this is like her profile. And over here you will have kind of like a corruption level, and you will have some sort of like current level of how aroused she is. These will have direct play in like some scenes and whatnot. Mostly on her spy thing when she's being attacked by people and they're trying to get and they try to get away with stuff during the battle fuck scenes. And yeah, arousal will have a bigger play. It will have a huge play there. But there will be scenes that in real life that will increase her arousal as well. So if you go to battle with a lot of arousal, if you don't masturbate and whatnot, you might be more prone to sexual attacks. This will be a thing. Also, overall corruption will also dictate how easily you will fall for sexual attacks. And by how easy, I mean this will have... I don't know if I have the... Damn it, I don't know if I have the preview for this here. We have a huge like video with this. I'm just not sure. Oh man, we have a huge video for this. Let me see if I see this here. Oh man. Also, yeah, okay. So you see those you see those mini games where you see a bar and there's like a red area in the center, and the bar keeps going like there's a like a marker. And it goes and it keeps going like left and right, and you need to like real-time action, like stop it on the red mark. And if you stop it on the red mark, you succeed, and if you don't, you fail. And if you fail, you get fucked. So depending on, I've already explained this on our very complex battle system, but the red bar, the space in which you are allowed to stop the cursor, is going to be influenced on a lot of stuff. First is how strong the attack is, which might increase or decrease the bar, but also it might speed up or slow down the cursor depending on other factors. This is only going the cursor only speeds up or slows down depending on the attack per se. Now, the size of the red bar is, imagine that a bar has 500 points. There's 500 yellow points, okay? The more red you have, the less yellow you have. If you hit yellow, you fail, you get attacked. If you hit red, you succeed, you don't get attacked. Now, imagine that you have always 100 points of red. That is like the success bar, that never changes. Now, you can have more red. Let's say that you can have like 150 more points of red depending on how corrupted you are, and you can have 150 more points of red depending on how high is your arousal. So as you go more corrupted, you get less red, and as you have higher arousal, you also get less red. So if you are very corrupted or if you are very aroused, it's going to be harder to stop the cursor on the success bar, because you're going to get less red to stop it on. So if you are very aroused and you have high corruption and you are attacking, you're fighting like a boss where the bar is like considerably fast, you're going to miss a lot. And if you miss, there's going to be consequences. So in this as well, we are going to let players pick more or less the outcome of what happens. Finally, Morgan said, I sent a message through Discord about an ending, now that you mentioned them. And then he said, give the goals already. We will listen, right now we are barely making any money to sustain the studios. We're just focusing on working on the games right now. Once this last demo for Bloodlust is out, and once the next demo for Journey Abroad is released, once those two are out, we will focus on cleaning up our Patreon page and add our goals and whatnot. Right now, there's no point for goals. We're not doing the bare minimum to even stay alive. Like, if we keep going with the finances that we have right now, that we keep going further into the red every month, we won't even be able to finish the game, let alone give extra goals. That's the reality. Like, I haven't been sugarcoating this at all. People need to realize it is what it is. So yeah, it is what it is. I don't. Oh fuck! Please no, my sternum. Oh no. So yowza. So yeah. Let's hope we get to finish the game and then we can focus on goals. So I hope you guys enjoy the podcast. I hope I gave you guys a bigger idea of what's gonna happen in Bloodlust. Yeah, man. We're super excited. The ideas are constantly flowing. We have everything planned. We kind of decided to discuss a lot of the questions that you guys had for us. I hope you guys like the answers. So sometimes it's not that we don't want to do something or we don't like the idea, but it might be trade-offs. It might be something that is just it's not applicable. We cannot make 20 different outfits for each scene. And this is me saying it. Like, I'm the crazy guy that did Fleeting Iris with like 90 different outfits and 400 different unique enticings. We want to release Bloodlust as soon as humanly possible. We have other games that we want to work on. There's 2 more games at least to finish the LNC Chronicles story. As much as I've been loving to work on Bloodlust, there's a story to tell, and we're going to focus on telling that story. And once it's done, we will see what can we do after that. But I'm also really excited to work on what's it called? Crimson Dawn, I think it's the name of the game. The one about the zombies, because I have so many great ideas about that one. I mean, it's a post-apocalyptic zombie game where not only you will have zombies and shit doing zombie stuff, but you will have a lot of humans that you will have to figure it out if they're good people or bad people. They are going to try and take advantage of you. Pussy is going to be a commodity. A lot of people are dead. There's going to be a lot of NTR. There's going to be, it's going to be seeing people at their worst. And I feel like there's a lot of good stories to tell regarding just Entei in general, but NTR in particular. And I'm really looking forward to also applying the gameplay of that one, because the finding on Bloodlust is going to be really cool. But I'm also looking forward to the base building, the scavenging, just trying to infiltrate places, choosing if you want to fight or if you want to remain stealth and whatnot. I think all of those are going to look so fucking cool in Crimson Dawn. And just the setting in general, I feel like it's a great setting to create an entire game. But right now the reality is Bloodlust and Journey Abroad. I've really been appreciating working on both. I really like both these games. I didn't believe that at 41 I will be as passionate for making games as I did when I was 30 and I was starting Fleeting Iris. But I am, man. The games are so different, even though they're in the same style. They're Entei, I guess. The games are so different, and I've got a lot better, man. It's not just the dialogue, which obviously has a lot of AI help, especially when it comes to like proofreading and making it look more like a native English speaker said any of these things. Because I run all pieces of dialogue. I run them like through 3 different AIs. I run them through ChatGPT, and then I run them through Gemini, and then I run them through X. And I'm like, make sure that this sounds like something that someone that lives in the United States will say. So that's why it takes me a long time to write the dialogue. But I feel like it comes off as very realistic. And it's not only that. I feel like the soundtrack, even though most of it is not in place, looks really good. I feel like the CG team has improved a lot. I feel like the maps look fucking crazy. Like, especially the school looks really, really good. I feel like once I learn how to properly do the shadings and whatnot, they're gonna look even better. The type of shit that we created for for the apartment building with the lights at night and the lights during the day where the character walks in the shade and whatnot, dude. Like so much of that is original. It was us creating it in Photoshop. It's crazy, from the windows to whatnot. I really like it. And now we were finally able to do some of the stuff that look like visual novel backgrounds and whatnot. So I know there were some complaints that the characters having no backgrounds on some scenes. Some people really didn't like that. That's gonna be fixed on next patch. So yeah, it's been a blessing to know you guys, to discuss the game with you guys, and being able to create these games for you guys. So yeah, that's why I always love getting all sorts of feedback, positive, negative, as long as it's constructive. Working on this has been one of the most pleasurable things in my life. And I hope that I know that everybody else in the team, everybody is equally as passionate as me, or almost everyone. We're really looking forward to keep working on this and turn all these ideas that I've been sharing here today with you guys and turn them into reality. So I hope you guys stick around. I hope you guys support us, because it really helps us a huge deal. Anywhere from $3 to $10 to whatever you can support us with, but support responsibly. Obviously, that part is also important. And yeah, if you want to know more about the game, do talk to me on Discord. And yeah, I hope you guys stick around. I hope you guys try the next patches. I'm gonna try and make them look as cool as possible. And yeah, I hope to see you guys soon. So next week we're gonna have a new podcast. And hopefully we have more. We have a new Journey Abroad patch and some more news about Bloodlust. So I'll see you guys then. Thank you so much for watching, listening, even if you're not listening to this live. Thank you so much for participating. Thank you so much that actually actively participated in the chat. Aaron, that I didn't speak to in a long time. I didn't see him in a long time in YouTube. It's fine. It's great to see you again in YouTube, bro. Aaron, Morgan, it's a pleasure to have you around here every week. Everybody else that is not talking in chat, thank you so much for watching. And as usual, all that I can wish for you is much fortune, much love, much health, not necessarily in that order, and everything else, Godspeed. Take care. See you guys next week. Much love. Bye.
Okay, there. ばかり寝坊しちゃった。思い出したのは君のことです。